Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and I'm the host of this here podcast. A little bit later, I think Gabby is gonna join me as a co-host. We all know Gabby Bach. She's gonna jump in and join our conversation today a little bit later. However, today we're talking to Garrison Neill, and I got to tell you that last January I went to Serious Business in New Orleans. It was absolutely positively one of my favorite hair events that I did last year. If you've listened to this podcast this year, I think I've done like 10 podcasts that have surrounded Serious Business. Serious Business is different. It's a different kind of hair show. It's actually even weird to call it a hair show because it feels much more like a TED Talk for the hair industry. There's definitely a lot of people from outside of the hair industry that speak that day. I think it's on Sunday is when all the speakers are there. I literally would go use the bathroom and I'd have FOMO. Like it was the craziest thing. I've kind of never really experienced that, but I couldn't be out of the room short enough. It was it was absolutely incredible. There was so much knowledge that was being dropped. And I would say maybe about 60% of the speakers on that day were outside of the industry, but there was so much value. There were so many gains in there. In the past, I'm going to miss some people, but we had Andy Ullman in, we had Light Watkins, we had, of course, our friend Elizabeth Fay. We also had Rebecca Harris on the podcast this last year, or Rebecca Heiss on the podcast this last year. If you listen to any of those podcasts, you'll know why I'm so fired up about the event. Well, the event is happening again. It happens every January. I'm going to be honest that it was kind of new to me as of 2 years ago. So about 2 years ago, I just learned about Serious Business. I don't know how I missed out on it. It's absolutely positively the way that that I like to roll in this world. I love the inspiration and all that. So yeah, tune in. We're going to keep talking about it. Today on the podcast, again, we have Garrison Neill. Garrison Neill is with the Neill Corporation. I met him last year at Serious Business, and I've actually seen him in a couple of rooms since then. I know that I accosted him in a hotel lobby at Premier Orlando. I'm trying to schedule this podcast, so here we are. For me, kidnapping him and keeping him locked up in a closet for the last couple months. But please welcome Mr. Garrison Neill to the podcast. What's up, Garrison?
Hey, Corey. Thanks for having me, man. Really stoked to do this. I know that you've had a few of my family members on. Good news is we've got like 7 more for you.
Cool. We'll have the whole nail. I'm just coming to Thanksgiving. We'll just do it at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of people don't realize there's seven Neill siblings.
That's
so we roll deep. It takes a flip chart to break it all down.
Yeah, don't get in a fight with the Neill family. They come deep. They'll bring everybody.
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
So with the 7 siblings, do all of them have roles within the Neill Corporation?
You know what? Amazingly, there is only one that doesn't have like an official role. My brother Stern, he is a marketing professor at Cal Polytech. And yeah, he'll do like some research projects for us sometimes, or I know he helped the Cunity Group with some. But he's busy. So when he has time, he likes to get involved, participate in shareholder meetings. But otherwise, I mean, the rest of us, like my brother Ross works in Aveda Arts and Sciences Institutes, our beauty schools. He's like all things like SEO and search. He's like the mad tech genius. Tatum, who you know, obviously, Elevate Hair, etc. of all the things. My sister Marty, she is retired and is on our advisory board and operates in like a high-level finance role within the company. And then my sister Paris, she's been on the HR team. Currently, she just had another baby, so she's taking a little time off. And then obviously, my mom, Deborah, she's the chairman of the company. She's the one that really, sets the vision and the intention. And then you got me. And yeah, so I run the salon division, which is called Paris Parker. We have 8 of those locations. And then we have 3 barber shops called the Parker Barber. And then I'm also the chief marketing officer for the umbrella companies that we own. So yeah.
That's amazing. Like, well, you're wearing a bunch of hats there.
Yeah, it's you know what? That's how it is in family businesses. We're very entrepreneurial, and we all do windows. So there's tomorrow I'm hopping on a plane to go meet with a fellow salon owner in Austin to kind of talk shop and talk about working together. And then last week I was at Intercoiffure because we had a big launch party for our new New York beauty school that we actually moved it from Soho to Dumbo, which has been, I don't know if you know much about Dumbo, but Dumbo is having a moment right now. Yeah, so lots of things happening. But I've been really looking forward to being on this podcast. So
Well, I
check.
let you out of the closet enough to do it. Hey, by the way, when you're in Austin, you have to go have a meal at Loro Eats. Loro. Just trust me on it. It's amazing.
Laura, like the is that Tyson Cole's spot, the Japanese barbecue? Is that what you're
So
talking?
yeah, sort of. So it's the guy that started. Is it Uchi?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uchi
Yep.
Sushi. So it's Uchi Sushi and I think Franklin Barbecue. They
Yeah.
like combined up and they created this restaurant. And what's crazy about it is that both of them are like these Michelin guys.
Yeah.
But like a meal's like $16. It's not
It's
super expensive.
incredible. It's a great concept. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times, and they actually have a location in Dallas too.
Yes. Yeah. I saw that they were expanding all across Texas there, but
Love that concept. I think it's great. I'm a food guy, as it seems like maybe you are. So I love going to Austin.
same. Same, and we always make a point to make it to Laurel. Like that's our what we do is that's our must stop, and then we fit in the other stuff around that. But that's always our must stop there. Again, it's just incredible food for a couple bucks there. So okay, so Neill, how many schools does Neill have now?
So we have 18 beauty schools from Seattle to New York. We have a bunch in Texas. We actually we also own the one in Minneapolis, which was horse school, and that school is just incredible. If you ever get the opportunity to go to Minneapolis, you got to see it. From what from our research, it's the largest beauty school in the country, if not the world, that we've
No,
seen.
no. So we'll stop it. Are you serious?
Seriously, it's massive. It's in an old Masonic temple. There's like a meditation room in the top that used to be Horst, the founder of Avedas, and there's like crystals embedded in the walls and stuff. It's super cool. There's two ateliers. There's like the Grand Atelier, which is basically like a big ballroom, and then there's another smaller one. Like Bob Dylan played there. It's a Minneapolis icon.
That is incredible. We have a local school here actually. It's a Paul Mitchell branded school that was an old Masonic temple as well. And, for like 120 years, like no women were in it, and now
Yeah.
like they renamed the education room as the Goddess Room because they said for the next 120 years, it's gonna be filled with goddesses, which I think is so friggin' dope as well. It's pretty cool. Those old Masonic temples are just special.
Yeah, they're incredible. They don't build buildings like that anymore.
No, no.
Yeah, so we have the beauty schools, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, we could spend the next 45 minutes to an hour talking about all kinds of stuff. I think one of the interesting things for me that you and I had kind of briefly spoke about is just like the history of Neill, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, I love that you've discovered serious business. Like the truth is, like Neill's been around since the 40s. My grandparents started it. And it was very different back then, 1947. They started in North Louisiana. And, as the industry changed, we evolved, so we went from like my grandfather essentially started out as like a salesman. And then we went to like a store model, like a Sally's. And, the things that were happening back then are like rollers and sets and roux rinses, et cetera, before I was alive. And, the industry really changed when Vidal Sassoon came on the scene and, basically invented precision hairdressing, took it mainstream with the pixie cut on Mia Farrow. And what that meant, that was when my dad was getting involved in the business. He was the second gen, was that if we were going to do these precision haircuts, we were going to need hairdressers were going to need to have the training. So education became like pivotal to what we were doing. And then if they were going to go home and replicate the look, they would need the same tools in their shower and in their bathroom as the hairdresser had at their station. So retail became really relevant. And so
We a few years ago we had may rest in peace. We had Mr. Trevor Sorby on the podcast, and he was talking about the influence that Vidal Sassoon had, and I didn't even realize this until Trevor said it. And if Trevor said it, it's golden. But he said, if you've ever held a blow dryer in your hand, you've been inspired by Vidal Sassoon. So he took like the blow dryer being in the salon, and he took the blow dryer home, or like created the handheld thing, and like that was such a great perspective. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So, right what you were saying, right? Like, just like you were saying, like, if you're going to recreate it at home, we need all of the tools and all the.
right, totally. So it's like this idea of a take home product became relevant, and our business kind of shifted from a store model to a centralized distribution where we were going in, working with salons, educating them to help their team grow. If the hairdresser grows, then the salon grows, and then Neill Corporation would grow. And so yeah, we leaned a lot in education around technical and product. Back then, I mean, I don't know if you knew this or not, but we worked with Redken. We were their first $1 million distributor,
Stop.
then Paul Mitchell, and then Aveda. And actually, Paul was my dad's best man in his marriage to Tatum's mom.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, and a lot
You
of people,
are like hairdresser embedded, man.
yeah, it's crazy. We worked with Aveda now, and that's what a lot of people know us for today for like 40 years. But it was really because my dad was, a smart businessman and a bit of a hippie. And someone was like, "Hey, you got to meet this Austrian guy, Horst. He like wants to invent clean beauty." He came out to our farm in Louisiana, and they connected, and our values were just aligned. I mean, it's all shampoo at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So our values just aligned with what they were thinking, what Horst was thinking, and we've been with them now for my whole life.
How do you maintain like Horace's like his goals and stuff, or what his value, maybe his values? Like how does Neill like maintain like Horse's values? Because like at some point business becomes business, and can you hold on to those values?
I think there's with any time there a brand is acquired and then, or a founder passes away, like it's hard. And it's not about like sticking exactly to it, but it's about honoring that. I think, we could talk about, how we've done that at Neill with my dad leaving too. But it's like I think there's a misconception that, when Estee Lauder bought Aveda, a lot of people were like, they're going to change the brand for the worst. And actually, like, I feel like as far as like environmentally, they invested a lot to make sure that the mission of Aveda kind of even expanded, because Horse was all about the ingredients integrity and doing something good for the hairdresser, right? But Estee Lauder took a whole further step, and like they're using blockchain to track some ingredients, that are sometimes hard to ethically source, like the relationship that they have carried on with the Awanala Indians. I mean, they've actually done a lot, like for even like packaging. Like we pioneered post-consumer recycled plastic. Like Aveda did that for the entire world almost. Because
Mm,
that wasn't a thing. People thought it was crazy to say we're going to take someone's garbage and make it into something and then make it to where it can be recycled again.
that's amazing.
So anyway, I think they've actually enhanced a lot of the mission. The high performance thing was, I think, not a thing when I was growing up. It was less of a focus, and now like high performance is first. And I think with what the scientists can now achieve with plant-based naturals, like we can hold up to the petrochemical brands, if not outperform them.
That's
So
that's pretty cool.
it's cool to just see, like, you have like the president, the way that Aveda works too, and this is not to really talk much about Aveda, it's just interesting because the president of Aveda is in the same office as the chemist, as the perfumer, and the factory. Like for a brand at that scale, like that's wild. No other brand is doing it that way. To where
That's pretty wild because it's like you're just an arm reach away from whatever questions you have or whatever however you want to move.
totally, like, so Tatum is on, they call it the Blue Sky Panel, and it's like artist-led innovation around beauty products. And so they'll go up there to Minneapolis, where the factory is in the office, and they'll have a meeting, and they'll test product, they'll give the chemist feedback, and like 2.5 hours later, or the next morning, he's like, "Here, try this."
That's cool.
Dude, it's wild. It's wild.
It must be really cool for Tatum to be on that end of it too, to kind of like put his 2 cents in, because he's a hairstylist through and through, so it must be very cool for him to kind of be able to like. I wish he was here on the call because I also want to feel like what's the responsibility that he feels for that as well.
Yeah, well, yesterday was Tatum's birthday, so shout out to Tatum for his birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tatum.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So currently, the Neill Corporation, do they only have Aveda, or are there other brands that you guys are
Yeah. So we only carry Aveda as far as the wet line, or any shampoo, conditioner, lotions. That stuff is all Aveda. But we do currently distribute Smashbox makeup. That is another Estee Lauder brand. Yeah, I mean, the other stuff we do, like we distribute the Allion dryer for Parlux, and so like
Mhm.
our students have great dryers, and we have a hair extension company called Vamore. my dad's vision for the company was it was like going to be totally vertically integrated as like a one-stop shop to help a salon grow.
I love that.
So it's literally, if Corey wants to go open a salon tomorrow, like we will not only like help you with how to structure your lease, but we will help you. Like we have it. So we have an in-house person who helps with leasing for our customers. We have basically an in-house designer. So we will go, the salons that we work with, we help them with their layouts, because what we know is that those are like two of the most important things that you can do to set up a successful salon is you need to have your rent factor at 6% or less. And you want to, like, the best salons from the P&L studies we've done are doing $1,000 a square foot in annual revenue.
Wow.
So it's all about making the space feel great, but also efficient so that you can be a successful salon owner.
So with that, you must have conversations with people that aren't going to make it. Like there's
But I mean, look, you can redesign. Like when I say redesign, like it's can be easy to add a couple of chairs. And that's not always the case. I mean, like there are some scenarios where people are paying a lot more in rent and they just got to work their ass off a lot harder. It doesn't mean they're going to go out of business, but long term, it's maybe not the best thing for them. But yeah, so my dad's vision was to be a one-stop shop to help a salon grow. So like this month alone, so we do a lot of education in our distribution territory. This month alone, I think we have like 60 classes scheduled, which is so, and it's everything from like we do some in our beauty schools. So like group classes, a lot of them are in salon for individual teams. We even go as far as like Alberto, who is our head of education, specializes in color. He even will work with key accounts to curate the exact class. So yeah, it's all about helping them grow. So we've got the classes, we have the beauty schools, because that's like the lifeline of, it's our future. Is because look, we all know if you're a salon owner, if you've worked in the salon, people are gonna leave, not just because they're unhappy. Even if everyone's happy, people are still getting married, they're still getting relocated because of a spouse, they're retiring. I mean,
sure.
you got 10% turnover just with that stuff. So that means your average 10-chair salon, they got to hire at least 2 people every year just to stay where they're at.
Yeah. No, for sure. Does the school like do they feed into the salon?
Yeah, so the idea with the schools are they're for everyone. They're not just for our Aveda customers. We don't.
You know what? Before you go on to that, I really want to point out too, like there's a lot of Aveda talk here, but at Serious Business when I went, it wasn't Aveda centric at all. It was
No, no,
just like
not at all.
bring in hairstylists from around. I mean, I certainly met some people that had like Aveda accounts and stuff, but it's not that.
The
It stands on its own.
40 to 50% of the attendees are from Aveda salons. And it is totally brand neutral, and I'm glad you said that, because obviously we are talking a lot about Aveda, but that is not what serious business is about. And really, the schools are also for everyone. We don't even have enough salons for them to like. We have to work with other brands because not all students want to go and work in Aveda salons, or could they? So, but no, serious business. Look, the way that it happened, and my mom's probably told you this journey, it started as like a personal development, self-help journey for my mom and dad. And from a young age, my mom had I wouldn't say a troubled childhood, but she had some challenges in her family life, discovered self-help from a young age. And so she was on that path when she met my dad. And together they started doing some pretty deep work around personal development. And they were like, wait, this is like, why are we just doing this for ourselves? Like, we need to do this for our employees. And then from there, they're like, we need to do this with the industry. Because my dad, he believed in the power of the hairdresser, just like my mom. And they wanted to raise the bar and have beauty professionals seen in a different light than they were back in the 80s.
For
And
sure.
so it was all about giving them the tools to grow them as a person. So he called it serious business because he wanted to get serious about business, but in order to do that, you had to be willing to do the work on yourself. And so a lot of people don't know what it's about because of just the name.
Yeah, well, I think that, well, certainly, I mean, the name is a misnomer as well. I said this last year when I attended, like when I was there wasn't any accounting Like nobody was talking numbers. There wasn't any accounting going on, and the name kind of feels like. And honestly, I was even a little intimidated about like going in, like well, okay, well, tell me how I'm screwing up my business. That's kind of how it felt like walking in there, and then I
Yeah.
left with so much more than that.
Did you pack your P&L?
I totally packed. No, I hit it. I burned it after that. But no, totally. It was. Yeah. I mean, the name is a misnomer. You guys should probably try like a rebrand or something. But I guess after all these years, you can't really rebrand it. It is what
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, you know, we say that business development starts with personal development, and we're really serious about our business and to where we're willing to go there, And so, yeah, it's always a very well-rounded event. There are some like at the end of the day, we want actionable things for people to leave with, and that's what really happens in the breakouts. But no, like it's about growing yourself and your team, because when that happens, then your business grows.
It's amazing how far ahead of the curve. I mean, there wasn't even a curve. It was still a straight line. Like when they started this, like nobody was really talking about this kind of wellness. Certainly in the '80s and '90s, when it was all about consumption. Like you might have had like some 60 layovers where they were doing that. But certainly in the late '80s and '90s, everything that was, the Gordon Gecko, right? It was the greed is good kind of stuff, and that was it. And I don't really align those two, greed is good and certainly mental or physical wellness. I don't align those two. So it's pretty amazing that they started off so soon, even before it was a conversation, almost like they created the conversation.
It's funny if you think about the direction we went to, because at one point we had Paul Mitchell and Aveda. There's this point where I actually have a photo. I'm on my dad's shoulders. I'm like 3, and we're at Paul's funeral. And JP has I believe it's Paul's funeral, and he's got a bottle of Patron in his hand, handing it out as like a welcome gift. It's just so funny that like we went in this like wellness direction. I'm like, damn, why didn't we take the Patron train?
I'm sure you have a couple times. Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah. It's dude, growing up in this industry has been just so awesome. And we touch so many people in this industry. It's incredible. The just seeing how we transform people's lives, not just our clients, but our team members, it's really special.
Growing up as a Neill, was there a lot of pressure to be in the industry?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to be like my dad. And when I think about that, it's because I saw how he showed up. He died when I was sick, but I traveled with him a lot and spent a lot of time. I was always at the dinner table at business meetings. He just exposed me to everything. And I just saw how he was as a leader. And at times it was weird. We were doing company meetings. We were like all holding hands and singing. But then like seeing him on stage at like something like Serious Business and talking about how helping to help people grow, and just how he had this ability to really push people in because he wanted the best for them. He was all about helping people reach their full potential. So it's like I always connected to that. And honestly, I had a hard time for a while after he left, thinking about what would it be like. I knew I wanted to be in the business, but like, what would it really be like to have to fill his shoes? And it wasn't until I actually started working through this conference called 2 to 10. And it's for salons that are from 2 to 10 locations, and some have more than 10, but it's about multi-location salons. And I started working in this like emerging leader group,
Mhm.
and it gave me this opportunity to have a platform to talk about ideas. And then I put some of those into action, and I started seeing success in what I was doing. And it made me realize that I don't have to be just like my dad or just like my mom or my brother Edwin, who's the CEO of the company now. Like I could show up and lead in my own natural way. And there's also been this shift. Like, do you remember Michelle Johnston that spoke at Serious Business?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was that last year?
That was last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Michelle, she's a dear friend, and her book, Seismic Shift in Leadership, that like really connected to me, because like the way that modern leadership works, it's about connection drives results. And to me, that's where I can live. I am not a command and control type leader, which that is a form of leadership that was present 5 and 10 years ago, but luckily that's out the door. And if you're leading in that way, then you're killing your business and your culture.
You know what? I'm so glad that you said that, because I kind of feel like I've always been connection first, and at this point in my life, I feel like the world or the industry has kind of like evolved into into my belief system, about the connection and to connect through connection, which is weird to say, but gives me a lot of validation in it. I'm hopeful that we're not moving past that or through that. I hope that we can kind of stay here for a while. But I certainly think that in this industry where we're so people centric, that it has to be about people centric and not necessarily about the product. Because really, at the end of the day, I know we're talking about brands and stuff, but at the end of the day, the product is us. And the product is what how we make people feel. And that's why it never made sense to me. And I worked for some people too, where it was like, like a iron claw kind of discipline kind of thing. And that just never connected with me because again, we're people. We should treat people as such.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, to your point of will it change? I think what's important about the connection drives results 100%. But where the trap is and where it cannot be good for business if we go too far is we still have to be able to give people tough love, Like we still got to be able to coach people and not because there at times there have been team members in salon that are like they don't want to be coached. This is like don't get in my space kind of vibe. That
Mhm.
that doesn't help anyone grow. We got to be able to have safe conversations. There's this concept that we've talked about a couple of times that I think you would dig called it's like the idea of safety versus comfort.
Keep talking.
And it's not about like it's not good to be comfortable all the time. The idea is that you want to have safety. So you and I can have a tough conversation about your performance that's safe, that we can be real with each other, but it can be uncomfortable.
How do you approach these conversations? So, like, you're doing, like we used to do one-on-ones and stuff. Like, so, when you have to have these conversations, like, do you soften the blow and then get hard, or do you just go right in and go, here's the facts, and then, the hug afterwards, or how does that work? Or is there even a hug involved at all?
There can always be hugging. So, it's funny. Even though we're in the beauty industry and we touch people all day, some people don't like to hug.
Yeah, no, I always ask permission, particularly these days. Like, I'm a
Sure.
hugger. We
Absolutely.
good or not?
Ask permission. And that's important.
Actually, you know what Elizabeth Fay did that was really great? Sorry, I did an event with her a couple years ago, and she gave everybody, it was like 3 colored bracelets. I'm a hugger, I'm not a hugger, just ask. Those are the 3 kind of like like bracelets, and they were all different colors. And I love that so much because you almost didn't. This sounds creepy, but you almost didn't need permission to hug a hugger.
For sure. No, Elizabeth's awesome. She's super, super rad. She Yeah, so to answer your question, I think it's all about the trust, right? That's like the foundation of the relationship. It has to be built on trust. So you can't just go start cold on one-on-ones and start leaning in on the hard shit, unless you've done the pre-work to make sure that this person has a real relationship and trust with you. Because they need to know that you have their best interest at heart. And I think once they realize that the only way the business grows is if the team grows, I think if you make that clear to them, it makes a lot of the conversations easier too. But I always start with it's like if you and I are, to start this call, we just connected personally about how's life.
Yeah.
That's how relationships are, right? Before you just get down and dirty, you want to connect with them. So I think that's important to me. So
That's good. That's really good. But so what's happening with Serious Business this year? What are the dates for it? When is it all going down?
all right, I'm gonna look it up because you know what? Serious Business is always on my birthday, and this year it's not going to be.
No, it's on Martin Luther King's birthday, I believe.
Yeah, it's the 18th and 19th of January.
That's
Um,
Sunday, Monday.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I always recommend is that people come in a little early and get to experience New Orleans because I have the privilege of living here. It's an amazing city with so much culture. And I would encourage people to get out and go uptown and really see all the city has to offer than just staying around Bourbon Street.
I definitely want to do that. Last year was my first year in New Orleans. I'd never been before. So I certainly we had many fabulous meals. As a matter of fact, I made it a plan to find a bad meal, and I couldn't. As a matter of fact, I went to the very there's like this fast food shrimp place right next to the hotel that I was like, there's got to be a bad meal there, and I ate there, and I was like, oh my god, this is so delicious. So it's so wild that you can't find a bad meal there. But
Yeah. We
Tatum said you won't survive if you do.
yeah. The Tatum and I are both big New Orleans food lovers. We actually Tatum, Edwin, and I a couple times a year will meet at our favorite crawfish spot, which is it's like 20 minutes outside the city. And it's kind of funny that well, for us, like to go out there, it's out by the airport. But it's just so funny, like that's how much we love the food that we like make this a thing. Tatum will be like, "Hey, I'm landing from the airport at this time. Like, meet me there." But yeah, the so look, the food culture is amazing. The music culture. There's actually a friend of ours has this thing called Jam Nola, which is almost like a New Orleans cultural and selfie museum. It's so rad. Gives you an insight into like into the Mardi Gras Indians and all kinds of like cool music.
Is that right downtown?
It's in the Marigny, so it's right off of it's on Frenchman Street. But it's like a 7-minute Uber. It's great. But
So
yeah,
I can Uber there. I can't walk there though.
you could walk if you really wanted to.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I love New Orleans. Like I said, it's so cultural too. You know, it's like you go there and you're like, oh, this is Burbage. This is what they're talking about. You know, it's really cool. It's really really cool, and it's in January. So who doesn't want to like leave in January?
Right. And yeah, you'll get great weather here compared to a lot of other places. But it's the perfect time to start your new year, because you're doing that good work to really clear your thinking and figure out what you want your year to look like.
Almost like a New Year's resolution kind of thing, or
Exactly. Yeah, but the format is keynotes on Sunday and then breakouts on Monday, and so we're really excited about it. We'll be releasing the speaker list very soon.
oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see. Hey, earlier you were saying that you guys do a lot of like in salon education and stuff. Who are the educators? Are they within the Neill Group, or do you bring outside people in, or how does that work out?
Yeah, so we have like our own Neill education team, like a certified Neill educator, and those are people that are in the salons that we work with. And then there's like, there's everything from Aveda has their own educators, like we'll sometimes bring those people in. Um, there's so many great educators out there. We've worked with, I mean, you name it, we've brought them in, and not just Aveda people. It's always good to look, at what everyone's doing. We use, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Tracy Sakasitz, who was formerly with Sassoon, she's like, she is like a Jedi. She is head of education. I think her official title is vice president of education and creative direction for our school, for our beauty schools, for Aveda Art and Sciences. And so Tracy will come in. I mean, a class of Tracy. I'm not a hairdresser, but to just be in the room and watch her, she inspires me. I mean, it's like she's incredible.
That's
So
cool.
so yeah, it's pretty diverse what we're bringing in.
That's pretty cool, man. I would love to sit through a class with Tracy. If she ever comes to the Arlington over here in Virginia, let me know. Maybe
I mean, she goes to all of our schools, and we have one in Arlington, so for sure, I can let you know.
I think I met Tracy last year at the event, at your event.
Probably so. So she is so kind and just awesome, and you can tell that she's a good educator because when you're with her, you're like, oh, she's 1 to 1,
Oh, that's such a great point. You're absolutely right. Like it was yes. I met her last year too, and we had been in the room a lot together, but that was the first time that we had talk about connection. That was the first time that we had kind of connected there. And you're right, she almost like brings you in a little bit. She's almost got that like politician thing where like, when she's talking to you, she's only talking to you, and like you
Yes.
feel weird because you want to be totally engaged as well. And
Yeah.
that I ADD out, and then I feel like I offended her or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, totally.
She's hard to offend. She's amazing. So like Sassoon has also always been the foundation of what we teach, in the schools. I mean, if you even go back to on the brand side of things, I mean, we talked earlier about Trevor Sorby, but it's like Antoinette trained under Trevor Sorby. Trevor Sorby trained under Vidal Sassoon. It's all this Sassoon lineage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, honestly, Garrison, we can't escape it these days. Like everything is. Ask any hairdresser who inspires them, and if they don't start with Vidal Sassoon, I judge you.
Yeah, we're trying to get the kids these days to even know who Vidal Sassoon is, which is crazy.
Yeah, I get.
I do, Corey. I see the pendulum swinging back though towards the students and the new artists that I'm hiring for Paris Parker are much more engaged right now.
I think what's happened. This is just my opinion. I don't know, but I think what's happened is we were so influencer focused as an industry, and we were so influence inspired that sometimes we forget about the craft, in the craft of hairdressing. And once you start talking about the craft of hairdressing, then you have to go back into, and you have to recognize the Sassoon lineage, because certainly every modern hairdressing that we're working on comes from that lineage, and you have to recognize the Ruth Roaches and the Trevor Sorbys and the Tracys and the you know you have to recognize all of these. And I think we're kind of getting back as the phones are getting lower. I see them getting a little bit lower now, Garrison. They're not gone, but they're getting a little bit lower. I think it's a natural pendulum swing to go back to like what is the craft of hairdressing, and not just the scroll of hairdressing.
For sure. Absolutely agree. And I see it. I see it happening. My mom and I were talking earlier. By the way, my mom is my mentor. So I reverence her a lot because, I mean, you know how special she is, but we talk multiple times a day, and she's, as I'm growing as a leader, it's really important that I connect with her. And we were just having this discussion around like how, because for a little while after COVID, or when COVID was happening, we did virtual and in person. And we're like so doubling down on just everything in person because people are enjoying it more
Hmm.
because they're present. So they're getting more value out of it when they're present. So yeah, I don't know if we talked about this or not, but the theme this year is shock and awe.
Yeah, definitely. I saw it on the website. What does shock and all mean?
So the idea is that we're living honestly in a shocking time where there's crazy stuff going on all the time. And it's important to stop and find the awe because it's happening all around us.
It should be called stop and all.
Yeah. It's really like it's about finding, the gratitude and the beauty in the moments because it's definitely still there. And when you start to do that, you realize that the world is not all doom and gloom. And there is some really positive, amazing things happening amongst all the crazy shock.
That's amazing, man. I love that. I'm definitely coming. I'm there. I'm there, Garrison.
I'm excited to have you.
My shock and all this past year is, and if you've listened to the podcast, I killed this, but back in July, I spent 18 days in Cambodia. I did a project called Hair Aid, where we were teaching women and people in critical poverty haircutting techniques, with the hope that those techniques can, either give them a job, a career, or certainly make money, even if it's just on a street corner someplace that they can make money cutting hair. You talk about like humbling, and you talk about like gratitude. It's impossible to kind of do a project like that and not feel immense. I felt immense gratitude for the hair industry. I felt immense gratitude to be a hairdresser. I literally cried more in those 16 days than I have my entire adult life. And none of the tears were painful. All the tears were from gratitude, or just like, man, I'm the luckiest SOB in the hair industry. When I stood on top of Angkor Wat and go like, why am I the one here? Like, there's nothing in a hairdresser's resume that says that you travel the world, but yet all of us have that opportunity if we want it.
Yeah, for sure. It's super meaningful to have the opportunity to touch people and, influence their life. So thanks for doing that, man. Doing the good work for all of us.
Well, dude, it was really cool. I will. First off, I love the project. It was just incredible. To meet the people that are in country, and even the people that have done it a few times. It was really an honor to meet them and get to hang out with them. And it's just different. Like, I've always really really been interested in like mission work, but not being associated with the church or anything like that. I didn't know how to do that, and this to me is kind of like hairdresser mission work. It's for the good, and you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about, culturally. To me, it was just a big act of surrender. Actually, Light gave me the words. So Light, yeah. So when we had Light on the podcast, I was telling him about this upcoming trip, and I said, "Hey, give me some advice about like traveling alone and traveling in Southeast Asia." And Light being Light, he gave me about a 10-second pause, and he goes, a thoughtful pause, I should point out. And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's my advice: is that you're going to be on two journeys. There's the journey that you booked. There's the airline. There's the hotels. There's the excursions that you've booked. But the real journey, the journey that God needs from you, that the universe needs from you, that people need from you, that's the one that's going to happen in between all of those journeys. And a lot of times it feels like stress. And my advice is, in those moments, is to stay present. Now, I had that top of mind the entire time that I was there, and it was absolutely positively my mantra while I was there, and it helped me recover so much in those moments. Here's what light didn't tell me is that there is no presence without the surrender. And for the first time in my life, I was able to completely surrender my ego. I was completely able to surrender American arrogance. I was completely able to surrender just about what I how I thought things should be or and not how things are. And I was able to sit in the truth of are what they are. I was able to stand in the truth of are for the first time in my life. And that's kind of what I've brought home with me. It's absolutely fleeting, but I know that I'm capable now. And I know what to look for and how to feel that. So that those are the huge wins there. And again, to bring it full circle, without serious business, without meeting light, without that advice that light gave me, like I would have had a completely different trip to Cambodia, and I had the trip I was supposed to have.
That's incredible. What an amazing story.
It was cool, man. It was, it's so cliche to say life changing, but it absolutely was like life transforming.
Yeah. It's here in Southeast Louisiana, we end up doing a lot of community service because of the natural disasters that we've had over the year. It's wild to see. It's just beautiful to see a community come together, even, and obviously in a horrible time. But just people getting together, helping others we need more of it in the world. And it builds such community.
Well, there is no community without that, unfortunately. Because when it's day to day, we forget that we have community. Like that's fleeting, right? Like the idea of community is fleeting until there's some kind of like universal tragedy or universal whatever, where we're forced to kind of be together and put everything else aside. I call it September 12th. Like it's September 12th. And unfortunately, that's just the. Anyways, we could talk all day about that kind of stuff. I love that kind of work, and I encourage more people to do that kind of work because it's very accessible to us. If you're a hairdresser and you want to do mission work, do this. You've got all the skills already. All you got to show up. Just show up. And in the realest sense of show up as with all that other stuff removed, the ego and all that good stuff. Anyways, Garrison, I can't wait to see you in January. Can't wait to hang out and chat it up. And again, I can't encourage enough to go to serious business. You're not going to learn a haircutting technique, but you might take something away in your heart. Definitely look forward to that.
We're excited to have you. And look, this event has the potential, like you just said, to really change people's thinking. And that's what we're looking to do. We want to help people shift their thinking and evolve the whole industry. And that is why, there's no sponsors really of serious business from the brand manufacturer side. I mean, we have some technology sponsors, et cetera, stuff like that. But like, we want to remove all the barriers so that people come so we can have the biggest impact on the industry.
Well, and honestly, that's why I've chosen to do so many podcasts about it because I think it is. I think it can be life changing, and I think it's more of what we need right now. Like even to your shock and awe point, like I think it's just we just need more access to this, and you guys have been giving it for forever, even though it's brand new on my eyesight as far as 2 years ago. But yeah, absolutely, positively, if you can fly in on January 18th, you should definitely be in the room. It is a very, very cool, different event. If you've ever wanted to do a TED talk or attend one, this is your way to do it because you will leave inspired. You will use the bathroom with FOMO. That should be on a hat. Use the bathroom with FOMO.
They have those speakers in the bathroom, but they're never loud enough. No matter what concert, I mean, because, first off, what we didn't say is the Sanger Theater is incredibly beautiful, right? But they have the speakers in the bathroom, but I can never get them to turn them up loud enough so you can hear the key.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I wasn't really familiar. Well, I would start FOMO, but I wasn't really familiar with the Sager Theater. But since then, like I'm reading all this stuff about, like I just read an article yesterday about John Prine who played there in 1971 at the Sega, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the pink Mary Kay car or something. Until you see one, you don't even recognize them. But it was wild. Like it's such a legendary theater, and it's super convenient to the hotel that you guys do everything at as well. It's just a very cool event, man.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad you're on the team serious business because we want to get as many people there as possible so we can continue to evolve.
Well, on that note, how can people get tickets? Where can they find tickets?
They can go to seriousbusiness.net and yeah, the tickets are on sale now, and we are looking forward to seeing everyone in January.
And you guys will have it's the Roosevelt Hotel, right?
It's at the Roosevelt Hotel,
And you
and
guys will have
it's
you have room blocks
beautiful.
and stuff.
What's that?
You have room blocks.
We have room blocks. All that's going to be on the website. The hotel's beautiful. Everything's super convenient. You can walk everywhere. Streetcar runs a block away, right out in front of the hotel, so you can get your full New Orleans experience.
I can't wait. Just and again, not to sidebar. I know we're trying to get out of here and stuff, but in years past, like Mel Robbins has been there,
Oh,
and who
dude,
are some of the ones that are like
it's
massive now?
insane. I mean, Mel Robbins for sure. Marcus Buckingham. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, sure do.
Way back in the day, Deepak Chopra.
What?
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's my mom has all like she like lives, eats, breathes this. And she is always looking for because it's her personal journey too, So she's like always looking for like who's the next thought leader that we can get. You know, the I mean, the timing of it is super important too, because some of these speakers, like, once they get famous, we can't afford them. Like some of the speakers cost like the whole speaker budget now.
Well, I'm aware.
We had Brene Brown.
That's crazy.
Do you know that she probably charges? I mean, especially post Netflix show, it's like $300 or $300,000 for an hour. Crazy. I mean, yeah, I love hospitality, so we had what's his name from oh god, Will Guidara from Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yeah.
Have you checked that book out?
No.
Dude, you
I,
have to. If you
I
like food too, it's like it's incredible book. It's all about the journey of 11 Madison Park going from like basically a brasserie to the number one restaurant in the world, and just these moments that they seize to change people's experience in the restaurant.
I love that. All right. What's the name of that book? I'm writing it down.
Unreasonable Hospitality.
I hope they have an audio book.
They do. They do, because that's how I listen to it. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. Esther Perel. I don't know if you know Esther. She's an interesting one too.
Well, we can end it with this. Like, you're going to see like some killer speakers there. I definitely experienced some killer speakers last year, and had a bunch of them on the podcast. So you certainly have heard about them earlier this year with it. But dude, I can't wait. Can't wait to come to New Orleans. Can't wait to experience that. Can't wait to just hang, because now we actually know each other. So now we can just hang, Garrison.
Sure.
Like, I won't have to
Yeah.
kidnap you out of a hotel lobby or anything.
Yeah, and look, thanks again for asking me to come on and connect, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in January.
For sure. All right, my friend, Mr. Garrison Neill, thank you very, very much for joining us on your day off.